Just got back from book club. That was so much fun. We made these cute little bracelets. That was such a good time. But now I need to feed my sourdough starter because I want to make some things in the morning. And this has gotten to a level where it needs to be fed so that I can make bread and everything that I need with active starter in the morning. I've really just been eyeballing this lately. I watched a great video by Farmhouse on Boone where she explained how she cares for her sourdough starter, and I really liked the way that she does it, so that's what I'm doing. I like to feed my starter with whole wheat flour, is what I've been doing lately, and I really just eyeball it so that the flour I add is double the starter that's in the jar now. And I just use my old crusty old jar, same as ever. It smells so good. I love the smell. I think I'm gonna do one more spoonful. And that is more than enough. You can tell there's more flour in there than there is starter. You always want to lean on the side of more flour than starter if there's, any question, because your starter can definitely handle more food than it needs, but it needs some stuff to eat through. So you don't want it to be too scant. This is what the ratio of flour to starter looks like, and now I'm gonna add some water. And I just eyeball that too. And I mix it up and see if the consistency looks right. This is what it looks like right now. I want a little bit more water. Book club was so fun tonight. Everyone loved the brownies. Making the bracelets was really cute and sweet. And this was my last book club because we're moving out of state. And it was really special because I was the one that started the book club whenever we moved here 3 years ago. So I've been doing it the whole entire time we've been here, and that is one of the things that I'm going to miss most when we leave. Jude, girl, I don't know what her deal is lately. She loves getting on the counters. You don't normally do that, huh? My little baby. So that is what the consistency is kind of looking like. A little wet, kind of like pancake batter. And that is about the amount that we're putting it to bed with. You put a hair tie at the level of your starter right when you feed it so that you can measure how much it grows overnight. So I'm about to go to bed. It's like 10 p.m. right now. And when I wake up, we should see that the starter has grown double in size. So I'm kind of getting close to what this jar will even be able to hold. So hopefully it doesn't spill over, but if it does, that's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm about to go to bed. We will have some fed starter in the morning that's super active and super bubbly. At the beginning of this year, I sewed this really cute little linen jar cover, and I always use it for my starter. It has some elastic around the edges so it stays connected to your jar, and it gives you some aeration. So that is super nice. Cute little project where hobbies collide. It looks kind of weird on this jar because I sewed it for a different jar and this one goes in where the other one was like flat all the way up, but still works. And I kind of like it. It looks like a crazy, silly, goofy little hat on this guy. Good morning. It's the next morning and this is what we're working with. Again, the hair tie is where it was last night when I left it. And you can see it has risen quite a bit. I'm not sure if it rose more and then deflated a bit or if it's still on the way up. It smells really good. And you can also see the bubbles. That means that it is super active right now. The next step is making the leaven. And once I've made the leaven, we will allow more time for that to rise as well. Basically just a big sourdough starter. So it's kind of the same deal. You feed it and you wait for it to rise and become super active and bubbly. Right now it's 8:40 in the morning. I work from home. So typically when I'm doing this on a day where I'm making bread, I will make the leaven right before I start work at 9. And then as soon as the work day is over, I know that it's time to mix the bread dough ingredients together. I've been using half all-purpose flour and half whole wheat flour when building out my leaven. Honestly, I kind of want to try just doing it whole wheat now that I'm thinking about it next time, but that's what I've typically been doing. This is what it looks like before being mixed. Again, it's just sourdough starter, flour, and water, and I'm going to mix this up and then I will leave it. I've heard some people say you can't use a metal spoon when mixing up
sourdough stuff, but I do that pretty much every week and it's fine. So I don't know what that is all about. All right, now that's mixed. And I only used 50 grams of starter to build the leaven. So that means that I have all of this left over. And this is what would typically be called discard. You're not actually throwing it away. There's tons of recipes that you can use with this. The brownies yesterday were made with discard. Every other recipe that I'm gonna make this week is using discard and not active sourdough starter. I'm gonna put this in the fridge, and then once I make enough discard recipes and the starter is down to about here, then I will feed it again and the cycle starts over. I came in here to start doing sourdough stuff at 8:39-ish. When I looked at the clock when mixing the leaven was finished, it was 8:45. And I've also been filming. So this is really not something that takes a ton of time, and it's really easy and approachable to do just quickly in the morning if you have 5 minutes. Also, P.S., this is one of the summer camisoles that I made. I talked about it in my last video. One of my absolute favorite sewing patterns. It's so nice, so comfy, and I wear them all the time. I just got off of work. That was randomly kind of a tough day at work. Not in a great mood. But I got off work and pretty much immediately mixed the ingredients for the dough together. And that was honestly a really nice way of transitioning out of the work mindset to the weekend. It is a Friday, so getting my hands in there, really mixing the dough up, you know, just gets a little bit of frustration out, which is always nice. The dough now proves for 30 minutes until the next thing that I have to do, which is a set of stretch and folds. During that 30 minutes, I put it in the oven with the light on, and that is a good proving environment. It's a little warm, so that's kind of what a proving drawer does. And if you don't have a proving drawer at home like most people, you just put it in the oven with the light on. In the meantime, what I'm gonna do while this proves is make a batch of cookies, because we are going to a movie night with our friends tonight. Recently, whenever we have a social event to go to, I love to bring a baked good. I think that's just a cute thing to do as a person. I always wanted to be the type of person who comes with a baked good, and I'm in that era of my life. I'm loving being that person. So I want to bring a batch of monster cookies tonight. I'm gonna use some sourdough discard. There's chocolate chips, M&Ms, oats in these cookies. It's kind of just like an everything cookie, and I haven't made one of those before. I've never tried this recipe, so I'm definitely interested to see how that turns out. And then I also might make some pie crust tonight. Am I being too crazy? Am I making too much? I need creamy peanut butter for these cookies. I only had crunchy, but I'm just gonna blend some up in the food processor. Don't know why I'm thinking that's so genius right now, because that's, I don't know, I feel like that would be common sense. But about to put this in the food processor to make it creamy. I'm in the midst of making the cookies, but my timer for the sourdough just went off, so I'm going to grab it and do a set of stretch and folds. Wet my hands a little bit so that the dough doesn't stick. And stretch and folds are really quite quick. This is what the dough looks like before the set of stretch and folds. As you do the stretch and folds, the dough builds gluten up, and that makes the dough come together so that it's less shaggy how it looks now and more of a ball of dough, how you would expect it to be. But you're really just stretching and folding. I also do some, I think these are called coil folds, but it always feels like when I'm at this step that you're holding a baby. There's actually a few times through the process that I'm like, oh, you're just a little baby. All right, that's stretch and folding. Time to get back to the cookies. This recipe actually uses an entire cup of sourdough discard, which is quite a lot in terms of discard recipes. So if you're sitting on a lot of discard, this is a great one to try out. I'm just going to scoop them out onto pans now. This batter is so pretty. M&Ms, too colorful, too cute. I love it. I fear I miscalculated the time I had to do the bread tonight. After this next set of stretch and folds, it normally sits on the counter for 2 hours for, I think it's called the bulk fermentation phase. I'm gonna have to leave right after the second set of stretch and folds. And I think I'll probably just put the batter straight into the fridge after the second set of stretch and folds. I'm sure it'll be fine, and then maybe I can take it out of the fridge when I get home and let it sit out for 2 hours. Honestly, I've done it a few different ways when I've had schedule issues like this, and it's always turned out fine. But what I don't want to do is leave the bread out on the counter and just hope we're back in 2 hours, because I have a feeling we're going to be out a little late tonight. And I would rather it be underproved instead of overproved, because you can always prove more, but you can't prove less. I think I'm gonna have to do 2 batches of these cookies, and I'm making them huge, so we will see how they turn out. I think they're gonna turn out super well though. I was thinking of just taking my bowl of sourdough to my friend's house, and that is an option. Just put it in the fridge there if it gets past 2 hours. The only weird thing is that I have to Uber there, so that would kind of be awkward to bring my bowl of sourdough. Okay, these look awesome. Gonna make the first batch now. That dough is incredibly good. Oh my god. I can't do 2 batches because I need to leave in 15 minutes, and these take 15 minutes to cook. So I'm gonna pop some more on another pan, put them in the oven. They're like a minute behind the first batch, so maybe they'll need a minute more. This is more chaotic of a night of baking than I intended it to be. Third tray ready for the oven. These are gonna get out of the oven, and I'm gonna head, well, I need to book an Uber, but then I need to head right there. So I'm not really sure how it's gonna work out with the cooling time. We'll see about that. I really liked this recipe overall. It's kind of annoying that the measurements don't have an option for grams, because typically I like to do grams instead of cups and like that type of measuring, but it's okay. The batter tastes incredible. They look super cute, so I'm really excited to bring them to movie night. We're watching Tucker and Dale versus Evil tonight, so it's gonna be just like a fun, wholesome night with all of our friends. I really can't wait. And I hope everyone likes the cookies. There's 3 minutes left on the cookies, and I need to leave immediately after that, and I haven't called an Uber yet, and my phone's almost dead. So this is really just an extra chaotic night. I also didn't eat dinner, and so I hope we're gonna have food there. Maybe they'll get pizza. But this is not typically how I like to bake. This is a little bit stressful. Normally I bake when there's nothing else going on and I'm just home all day. And I think that I will just put this in the fridge. I don't want to deal with having it at someone else's house. That's kind of weird. Just gonna leave this here. We'll see how it goes, honestly. I have no idea if this round of sourdough will work, but the experimentation continues, and hopefully if this works, it makes it easier for me in the future if I'm in this situation. Perfect. Let me grab you a little cookie.
Oh, you have a napkin?
Yeah, I brought one just in
Thank
case.
you.
Of course. I hope you have a good night.
Good.
Glad.
You have a good one too.
It smells so good in here from the bread. That's the theme of this video. It's just my house smelling amazing. I want to make chicken tenders tonight, and I'm out of breadcrumbs, and I have a little bit of this loaf of sourdough left over. It is a bit stale and dry, which I think is good for breadcrumbs, so excited to try it. That bread was so hard to cut. It was so stale. I just started ripping with my hands because I was afraid I was going to cut my finger off. Okay, while I wait for the sourdough breadcrumbs to bake in the oven, I am going to prep some sourdough pie crust. This has been one of my favorite go-to recipes lately. I've been making quiche a lot with this, which are so delicious. Who knew how good a quiche was? I never even tried quiche until this year, and I can't stop eating them. They're so good. I also made from scratch pumpkin pie with this pie crust, and it was so freaking good. I was shocked at how easy it was, so definitely recommend the Farmhouse on Boone recipe for that if you are in the market for one. I just got their breadcrumbs out of the oven and they are so crunchy, crispy. They look amazing and they taste really, really good. Also, I got the pie crust done while the breadcrumbs were baking. Now the pie crust will go into the fridge to sit overnight and I can make the quiche tomorrow or the next day, whatever I'm feeling. These are so good. I feel like this is just an ASMR video at this point. The breadcrumbs are a little bit more coarse than the store-bought ones. I'm gonna put them in the food processor again now that they've baked to get them a little bit more fine. Just finished the chicken tenders. These look so good. They came out so golden crispy. I also made us some little side Caesar salads. This is just the simplest thing you could possibly make. It's kale, Caesar dressing, and then some shredded Parmesan. Now that I've used the sourdough discard for the pie crust, it's time to feed my starter again so I can do it all again next week. I'm just using all-purpose flour this week because I'm out of whole wheat and I don't feel like buying more, and so that should be fine. It's quiche time. I just grabbed the quiche out of the oven and it has never looked like this before, where there's like a mound of egg in the middle. Anyways, looks great. I'm sure it'll taste great. I don't know why that happened. I think it already deflated some since me bringing it out of the oven, but it was literally like so rounded. So I don't know what that was all about. Maybe just some air got into the eggs. I didn't measure out the heavy cream this time, so maybe that's why. Anyways, it looks amazing. Cannot wait to eat this. This looks and smells so good. I love the corner little piece. Since I use a square pan, it has crust all the way around. This is the best. The pie crust is so flaky and good. I love sourdough pie crust so much. One of my favorites.
So that is what I bake in a week with my sourdough starter. Hope you enjoyed, and I will link all the recipes below if you want to try any out. Thanks, bye!